I never thought a conversation over donated soup could save me from losing everything. But when I watched the police lead my son away in handcuffs last Tuesday, I kept thinking about the homeless man I'd fed every Saturday for 6 months. Marcus had warned me, and I'd almost ignored him. Let me back up to where this really started. My name is George Miller. I'm 68 years old. Been retired from teaching high school English for 3 years now. My wife, Catherine, passed away 5 years ago from cancer. It's been just me in our old house in Portland ever since. The house where we raised our kids. The house filled with 40 years of memories. The house my son tried to steal. Every Saturday morning for the past year, I'd volunteer at Street Mary's soup kitchen downtown. It wasn't about being charitable or feeling good about myself. Honestly, after Catherine died, I just needed somewhere to be. Somewhere with people. The house got too quiet. That's where I met Marcus Rodriguez. He was different from the other folks who came through. Dressed in worn but clean clothes. Always said please and thank you. Had this way of looking at you that made you feel like he was actually seeing you, not just looking through you the way most people do with the homeless. We started talking. Small stuff at first. Weather, Trailblazers games, then deeper conversations. He mentioned he used to be a lawyer. Corporate law. Had his own practice for 20 years before alcohol destroyed everything. Lost his license, his marriage, his house. Been on the streets for 3 years. I started looking for him every Saturday, making sure he got an extra portion. Saving him the chocolate chip cookies Catherine used to love baking. One morning in late June, I slipped him a $20 bill. "Mr. Miller," he said, pushing it back. "I appreciate it, but I didn't earn this. Consider it a consulting fee," I told him. "You're the only person I talk to these days who doesn't treat me like I'm already senile." He took the money then. But the next week, he brought me something in return. "My mother used to say these bring good fortune," Marcus said. "Found this one abandoned on a stoop. Nursed it back. Figured you could use some luck. I put that plant on my kitchen windowsill when I got home. It's still there. The last Saturday in July, everything changed. I was serving Marcus his usual chicken noodle soup and bread when he grabbed my wrist. Not hard, but firm. His eyes were intense. "Mr. Miller, I need to tell you something. Your son is going to visit you this week." I blinked. "Thomas? How would you know that?" "I saw him 3 days ago. He was coming out of Dr. Brennan's office downtown." "Dr. Brennan? The psychiatrist?" Marcus nodded slowly. "I was waiting outside the building for it to close so I could sleep in the loading dock. I recognized your son from the photo on your desk at home, the one you showed me on your phone. He was with a woman. Blonde, expensive clothes. They were arguing. That's Sarah, his wife. I heard what they were saying, Mr. Miller." Marcus leaned in closer. "Your son was upset because Dr. Brennan wouldn't write something. He said, 'We need that diagnosis. Just say he's showing early signs. That's all we need to get power of attorney.' My blood went cold. That's impossible. Thomas wouldn't. The woman, Sarah, she said. Once he signs, we can sell the house before he figures it out. We need that money before the creditors come." Marcus's grip on my wrist tightened. "Mr. Miller, whatever papers your son brings you next week, don't sign anything without a lawyer looking at it first. A real lawyer. Not me." I pulled my hand back, feeling dizzy. "Marcus, you must have misheard. Thomas is a financial advisor. He's successful. He doesn't need—" "I know what I heard." Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a worn business card. "This is my friend, David Chen. He's a lawyer, elder law specialist. He owes me a favor from the old days. Tell him Marcus sent you. He'll help." I took the card, my hand shaking. "This is crazy. Thomas is my son. So is Judas somebody's son?" Marcus said quietly. "Just promise me you'll be careful." I promised. But I didn't believe him. Not really. Not until 4 days later. Tuesday evening, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Thomas and Sarah standing there with overnight bags and bright smiles. "Dad." Thomas hugged me. He's 42. Still has Catherine's green eyes. Used to be the sweetest kid. "Surprise. We're in town for a few days and wanted to stay with you. Of course, I said, stepping back to let them in. You should have called. I would have made up the guest room. It's fine, Dad. We wanted to surprise you. Thomas set down the bags. Actually, we need to talk to you about something important. My stomach clenched. Marcus's warning echoed in my head. Sarah disappeared into the kitchen, saying something about making coffee. Thomas sat me down at the dining room table. Dad, Sarah and I have been worried about you. He pulled out a folder. Living alone at your age, in this big house. We think it's time to consider your options. Options? Assisted living. Or maybe Sarah and I move in with you, help take care of things. He opened the folder. But first, we need to make sure your affairs are in order. I've had some documents drawn up. Power of attorney, so I can help manage your finances, just in case something happens. He slid papers across the table. Official-looking documents with tiny print, just in case what happens, I asked. Dad, you're almost 70. What if you fall? Get sick? Someone needs to be able to make decisions. I stared at the papers, remembered Marcus's words. Let me read these over. There's nothing to read, Dad. It's standard stuff. My lawyer checked everything. Then it won't hurt for me to read it myself. Thomas's smile tightened. Dad, we don't have a lot of time. I need to file these by Friday. Why the rush? It's not a rush. It's just practical. He pulled out a pen. Sign here, and here, and here. Sarah came back with coffee. Set a cup in front of me. I noticed her hand shaking slightly. I need time to think about this, I said. Thomas's face darkened. Dad, are you being difficult? We're trying to help you. I appreciate that. But I'm not signing anything tonight. Fine. Thomas snatched the papers back. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But Dad, you really should trust me on this. I'm a financial professional. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Marcus, about Thomas's insistence, about Sarah's shaking hands. At 3 a.m, I called the number on the business card Marcus had given me. David Chen answered on the second ring. When I explained who I was, he said, Marcus called me yesterday. Said you might reach out. Can you meet me at my office tomorrow morning? Early, before your son wakes up. I met David at 7. His office was small but neat, filled with law books. I brought the papers Thomas had left on the dining room table. David read them in silence for 20 minutes. His expression grew darker with each page. Mr. Miller, he finally said, do you understand what these papers say? Power of attorney, right? Not just power of attorney. This gives your son complete control over all your assets. Your house, your bank accounts, your retirement fund, everything. And this section here, he tapped the page, this allows him to make medical decisions for you, including institutionalization. Institutionalization? He could have you committed to a psychiatric facility if a doctor agrees you're mentally unfit. Once you sign this, you'd have no power to fight it. My hands went numb. But I'm perfectly healthy. No doctor would say I'm unfit. Dr. Brennan might. I told him what Marcus had overheard. David listened, then made some phone calls. By noon, he'd learned that Dr. Brennan had been investigated twice for filing false diagnoses for insurance fraud. Never charged, but suspicious. Here's what I recommend, David said. Don't sign anything. Act normal around your son, and let me hire a private investigator. If Thomas is planning something illegal, we need proof. I hired the investigator. Her name was Patricia Lee, former police detective. For the next 3 days, I pretended everything was normal, smiled at Thomas, listened to Sarah talk about their daughter Emma, didn't mention the papers, but every night, Patricia sent me updates. Thomas had gambling debts, $500,000, owed to some very dangerous people, had 2 weeks to pay or face consequences. Sarah had maxed out 17 credit cards, bought designer clothes, jewelry, spa treatments. Her Instagram showed a lifestyle they couldn't possibly afford on Thomas's salary. They'd already contacted 3 real estate agents about listing my house. Told them I was moving to memory care and the family needed a quick sale. They'd met with Dr. Brennan again. Patricia had photos of them leaving his office with an envelope. She managed to get the security footage from the building. In it, you could see Thomas handing Dr. Brennan cash. On Friday morning, David presented everything to the district attorney. By afternoon, the DA had enough for a warrant. That evening, Thomas made his move. "Dad, we need to talk." He sat me down again. Sarah stood by the door, blocking it. "I've been patient, but we're out of time. Sign the papers." "I don't think I will," I said quietly. "This isn't optional." Thomas's voice was hard, cold. I didn't recognize him. "I've scheduled an evaluation with Dr. Brennan for Monday. He's going to diagnose you with early-stage Alzheimer's. Then the court will appoint me as your guardian anyway. You can sign now and make this easy. Or we can do it the hard way." "You'd really do that? To your own father? You don't understand." Thomas was pacing now. "I'm in trouble, Dad. Real trouble. Men came to our house," threatened Emma. "Said if I don't pay them by next week, they'll hurt her. I need that money. The house is worth $2.3 million. That's enough to pay off everything and start over. So you were going to have me declared insane? Put me in a facility? Just until the house sold. Then we'd bring you home. 6 months, tops. And if I died in there? From the stress? The medication they'd give me?" Thomas didn't answer. That's when the doorbell rang. Sarah opened it to find 2 police officers and Detective Patricia Lee. "Thomas Miller, you're under arrest for attempted fraud, conspiracy to commit elder abuse, and conspiracy to file a false medical report." I'll never forget the look on Thomas's face as they read him his rights. Shock, betrayal, and finally, rage. "You did this?" he screamed at me. "I'm your son. I needed your help." "You were going to destroy me," I said. "That's not asking for help. That's evil." They took him away. Sarah, too. She was crying, saying she never wanted this. Thomas made her do it. The investigation proved she was lying. The credit cards were all in her name. She'd pushed for the scheme as much as Thomas had. The trial took 4 months. The DA had everything. The recordings Patricia made, the security footage of the cash exchange, Dr. Brennan's testimony. Once he was offered immunity, Marcus's eyewitness account of what he'd overheard. Thomas got 3 years. Sarah got 2. Dr. Brennan lost his license permanently. I changed my will. Everything goes to my granddaughter Emma when she turns 25. Until then, it's in a trust managed by David Chen. Thomas and Sarah will never touch a penny. Emma's living with Sarah's parents now. Good people. I visit every Sunday. She's 12, asks about her father sometimes. I tell her the truth, that people make bad choices when they're desperate. That loving someone doesn't mean letting them hurt you. Marcus still comes to the soup kitchen every Saturday. I still save him the chocolate chip cookies. But now I also pay him $200 a week to help David with research. Turns out his legal knowledge is still sharp, even after 3 years on the streets. Last month, Marcus got his apartment. Small studio, but it's his. He's been sober for 6 months. David's helping him petition to get his law license back. "You saved my life," I told him last week. "You fed me for 6 months expecting nothing in return," Marcus said. "You treated me like a person when most people looked through me like I was invisible. I was just returning the favor. I still live in the house. Still sleep in the bedroom I shared with Catherine. Sometimes I sit on the porch in the evening and think about how close I came to losing everything. Not just the house, not just the money, but my dignity, my freedom, my last years of life. People ask me now how I knew Thomas was lying, how I had the strength to turn in my own son. The truth is, I almost didn't. I wanted to believe Thomas. I wanted to believe my son loved me more than money, that the boy who used to build Lego castles with me couldn't possibly be planning to have me locked away in a psychiatric ward. But Catherine taught me something during her last months. She said, "George, love isn't blind. Love sees clearly and chooses anyway. But you can't love someone by letting them destroy you." I loved my son enough to stop him from becoming a monster. I testified against him, watched him get sentenced. And yes, it broke my heart. Still does. every single day. But Emma came to visit last Sunday. Brought me a jade plant she'd grown from a cutting of Marcus's original plant. Said she wants to be a lawyer like David when she grows up. Help people like Marcus who need second chances. Grandpa, she said, Mom told me what Dad did. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. Sweetheart, I know. But I wanted you to know I would never do that. What you did was brave. You protected yourself. That's what Grandma would have wanted. This kid, 12 years old and wiser than most adults. The jade plant is on the windowsill next to Marcus's original. They're both thriving. Sometimes fortune isn't about luck. It's about paying attention, listening to warnings, trusting people who have nothing to gain from your trust. I fed a homeless man soup for 6 months. He saved my life. That seems like a pretty fair trade to me. And if you're wondering whether I'll ever forgive Thomas, whether we'll reconcile when he gets out, I don't know. That's a question for future George. Right now, I'm just grateful. Grateful for Marcus, for David, for Patricia, for the jade plants on my windowsill that remind me every morning that even broken things can grow again if someone cares for them. The house is quiet tonight, but it's a good quiet, the kind that comes from peace, not loneliness. Tomorrow, I'll visit Emma. Next Saturday, I'll be at the soup kitchen. Marcus and I will probably talk about the Trailblazers' chances this season. He'll tell me about a case he's researching for David. I'll bring him Catherine's cookies, and I'll keep the business card he gave me in my wallet. Not because I need it anymore, but as a reminder. Sometimes strangers save us. Sometimes the people we help come back to help us. And sometimes the best inheritance we can leave isn't money or property, but the example of how to recognize danger, how to protect ourselves, and how to choose dignity over denial. That's what I want Emma to remember about her grandfather. Not that I was rich, not that I owned a big house, but that when my own son betrayed me, I had the courage to save myself, and that I did it not with hatred, but with the help of a man the world had forgotten. That's worth more than $2.3 million. That's worth everything.